All right, let's just jump right in because what we're about to unpack is, well, it's one of the wildest, most surreal stories I've ever encountered. We're talking literary giants, time travel, and just absolute beautiful chaos.
So, everything kicks off with this question. And look, it totally sounds like the beginning of a really, really weird joke. But trust me, the answer? It's even more bizarre than you're probably thinking. This is kind of the core mystery we're going to dig into.
And this is where our story really begins with this thing, a beat up, rusty bicycle with only one pedal. And apparently, this bike saw everything. It was the silent witness to this one incredibly wild, lawless, whiskey soaked Sunday. It was there for all of it. Okay, so let's get into that story. It's time to meet the main characters in this, well, this unbelievable saga. So, first up is William Faulkner. And what's so wild here is the massive gap between the legend and, well, the reality in this story. You've got Faulkner, the Nobel Prize winning literary titan, right? But here, he's described as this chaotic force of nature, a guy with a real knack for, and I'm quoting here, extreme dumbassery. And he wasn't flying solo. His partner in crime was the famous Civil War historian Shelby Foote. But, forget the image of a stuffy intellectual. In this version of events, he's just as unhinged and apparently had a habit of pissing his pants in the car. So, yeah. So you've got these two guys, and their unique partnership really just goes into overdrive during one very, very long Sunday.
And this timeline here, man, it just perfectly lays out how the day just spiraled into madness. They start the morning at a bootlegger's place. By the afternoon, there's a mushroom incident. Then we get a banjo brawl in the evening, a fart demon chase at night, and it all wraps up with a massive catfish fruit fight. I mean, what a day.
Yeah, so about those mushrooms, it's pretty key to understand Faulkner's state of mind here. He wasn't just drunk. No. He was apparently eating mushrooms like they was going out of style. And when someone actually asked him about eating these, very obviously hallucinogenic blue mushrooms, his brilliant excuse was, they keep me regular. Can't argue with that, I guess. And that paranoia, it really hits its peak later that night. So, picture this. They're all crammed in this old Model T, and somebody farts. Now Faulkner, being in the state he's in, doesn't just smell it. Oh no. He sees it. He sees this fart as a red and green demon with a face mocking him. So what does he do? He just jumps right out of the moving car. Naturally.
Okay, so the grand finale of their Sunday happens in Eudora, Arkansas. They show up looking a mess, and it kicks off a huge food fight. So big, the state police get involved. And this is where Shelby Foote has his moment of genius. To get them out of there, he just shouts to the whole crazy mob that he's hidden everything. The whole town just takes off, looking for this imaginary treasure. And while they're all gone, our guys just calmly get in their car and drive away. Brilliant. So that was their Sunday, absolutely nuts, right? Well, hold on, because this is the exact moment the story slams on the brakes, does a U-turn, and drives straight into science fiction territory. Yeah, it turns out Faulkner and Foote, they're not just figures from the past. They're time travelers. They have a time machine, and they've been popping into our modern era. So you have to ask, right? What for? To witness the future of mankind? To gather priceless knowledge?
Not even close. The real answer is just so much better and so much more absurd. They were risking the entire space-time continuum for two things. One, gas station fried chicken. And two, trap music. Seriously. Migos, Future, you name it. And we're not talking about casual listening here. These guys were dedicated. Get this. Shelby Foote says that William Faulkner, the Nobel Prize winner, had a crazy sound system put in his old Model T. We're talking 15-inch subs in the back, just booming. Also, he could bump Migos while driving around in his tweed suit. I mean, the image alone is just incredible.
So it's on one of these trips to the future that Faulkner meets someone new, a really important character named Sunshine. She's described as this celestial dancer scholar, basically a demigoddess who's also an academic weapon with a PhD. And she falls for Faulkner, so she joins him, and now they're a time-traveling duo, bouncing between the 1920s and today.
But this couldn't last.
Their whole time-traveling trap music fried chicken party is about to get crashed. And the party crasher has let's just say, a much bigger plan in mind. Yup, Jesus shows up. He literally arrives, moves to the US, takes over their time machine, and starts putting together a team of history's greatest minds. And his mission is pretty specific. He wants to tackle American Christian nationalism head-on. He needs help explaining to people in the modern South where he thinks they've kind of gone off the rails with his whole message. And this really gets to the heart of his mission. He needs guys like Faulkner and Foote, writers, thinkers, to help him translate, to help him bridge this huge gap and explain to, in his words, these Tucker and Cletus types, why he is not, in fact, a fan of their AR-15s. Okay, but not everyone's thrilled about this new plan. Sunshine, especially, let's just say, she is not happy. This is not what she signed up for. She was here for the freedom, the time twerking, the adventure, not to get stuck explaining theology. And her pushing back against this whole divine mission, that becomes the big conflict for the story's final act.
So, where does this all go? How does it end? Well, when you smash together divine missions, literary giants, and a time-traveling scholar, you get a reality that is, something else entirely.
So the stage is set for the grand finale. The world is just completely out of whack. It's described as overdosed, overhyped, overgodded, and undertruthed. This is a world where, somehow, the people everyone is looking to for salvation are time travelers with subwoofers and a dancing academic. And everything, all the chaos, the time travel, the mushrooms, it's all been building to this one moment. The end is here. The apocalypse has finally arrived.
But it's not the apocalypse anyone was expecting. No fire, no brimstone. It was something different. It was a trap musical. Which brings us to our final thought. Remember that one-pedaled, cursed bicycle from the very beginning? Well, it turns out the narrator's son stole the bell off of it. And in this new post-apocalyptic trap musical world, that kid has become the head of a mystical group called the Ding Master Supreme. It just makes you wonder, right? In a world this beautifully, wonderfully insane, who's really in charge? What an absolutely wild ride.